Picture this, Mia, a 30-year-old, with a stable job, a nice apartment, and a packed schedule, stares out her window, feeling empty. She's checking all the boxes: career, friends, goals, but deep down, it's like she's just going through the motions, not really living. Sound familiar? If you've ever felt like your life is slipping away, like you're stuck in a routine that doesn't feel like yours, you're not alone. Carl Jung, the genius behind depth psychology, believed that this emptiness isn't a flaw, it's your soul screaming for change. In this video, we're diving into Jung's wisdom to uncover why you feel like you're wasting your life and reveal 5 practical steps to stop existing and start truly living. Stick with us, because by the end, you'll know exactly how to reconnect with your purpose and make every day count. Ready to stop wasting your life? Let's dive in. Have you ever woken up, gone through your day, checked off your to-do list, and still felt like something was missing? Like no matter how busy you are, how many goals you achieve, or how many people surround you, there's a quiet, nagging emptiness that won't go away. This isn't just a bad day or a fleeting mood. It's a signal from your soul, a cry that you're not truly living the life meant for you. Carl Jung, the pioneer of depth psychology, believed that this feeling of wasting your life isn't a flaw or a disorder. It's your psyche's way of telling you that you're out of alignment with your true self. In this chapter, we'll explore why you feel this emptiness and how Jung's wisdom can help you see it not as a curse, but as a call to transform your life. Let's make this real with a story. Meet Mia, a 30-year-old marketing coordinator with a life that looks perfect on paper. She has a steady job, a cozy apartment, and a calendar packed with deadlines and social plans. Everyone around her thinks she's got it all together. She's productive, reliable, always smiling. But every night, when the noise of the day fades, Mia feels a heaviness in her chest. She scrolls through social media, seeing others chase their dreams, and wonders, why does my life feel so pointless? She's tried therapy, self-help books, even a new workout routine, but nothing fills the void. One day, while journaling, Mia wrote a single sentence that stopped her cold. I don't even know who I am anymore. That moment was her wake-up call, the moment she realized her emptiness wasn't a failure, but a message. Carl Jung taught that what we often label as anxiety, depression, or just feeling off is what he called neurosis. Not a mental illness in the traditional sense, but a substitute for legitimate suffering. In other words, the discomfort you feel is your soul's way of screaming, this isn't your life. When you're stuck in a routine that doesn't reflect your true values, when you're chasing goals that aren't yours, or when you're surrounded by relationships that drain rather than inspire, your psyche rebels. It sends signals: restlessness, fatigue, a sense of disconnection to force you to pay attention. But in our modern world, we're taught to silence these signals. We pop a pill, distract ourselves with work, or numb out with endless scrolling, all to avoid the one thing Jung urged us to do: listen. Let's dive deeper. Mia's life wasn't always this way. In her early 20s, she dreamed of becoming a writer, crafting stories that lit up her soul. But her parents pushed her toward a practical career, saying writing wouldn't pay the bills. So, she chose marketing, a safe path that checked all the boxes: stability, status, approval. Over time, she buried her creative spark, telling herself it was childish or unrealistic. She worked long hours, said yes to every project, and played the role of the perfect employee. But the more she conformed, the emptier she felt. Her anxiety grew, her sleep suffered, and she started wondering if this was all life had to offer. Carl Jung would say Mia's emptiness was her psyche's protest, a sign that she was betraying her true self by living a life shaped by others' expectations. Carl Jung's concept of neurosis is revolutionary because it flips the script on suffering. Instead of seeing your pain as something to fix or medicate, he saw it as a guide. Your anxiety isn't the enemy, it's a messenger. Your restlessness isn't a defect, it's a compass pointing you toward a life that aligns with your soul. But here's the catch. Listening to that messenger requires courage. It means facing the truth that you might be living someone else's version of success, a job you tolerate, a relationship you settle for, or a routine that keeps you busy but not fulfilled. For Mia, it meant admitting that her perfect life was a facade, built to please her parents, her boss, her friends, but not herself. Why does this emptiness feel so universal? Because our world is designed to keep us disconnected. From childhood, we're taught to prioritize productivity over purpose, approval over authenticity. We're told to fit in, to follow the script, go to school, get a job, buy a house, post a happy photo online. But what happens when that script doesn't fit? Carl Jung argued that when you ignore your inner truth, your unique passions, values, and desires, your psyche starts to sicken. It's not a chemical imbalance, it's a spiritual misalignment. The emptiness you feel is the absence of you in your own life, and the longer you ignore it, the louder it gets, showing up as burnout, apathy, or that quiet dread that hits you in the middle of the night. Here's where Mia's story takes a turn. After that journal entry, she started asking hard questions. What do I really want? What would my life look like if I stopped trying to please everyone else? She began small, carving out an hour each week to write again, just for herself. Those moments felt alive, like she was reconnecting with a part of herself she'd forgotten. Slowly, she noticed her anxiety easing, not because her life changed overnight, but because she was listening to her soul. Carl Jung called this the beginning of individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, by aligning your life with your inner truth. The lesson here is profound. The emptiness you feel isn't a sign you're broken, it's a sign you're ready to grow. It's your psyche begging you to stop wasting your life on things that don't matter to you. You don't need to numb it or run from it. You need to lean into it. Ask yourself, what part of me have I been ignoring? What dream, passion, or truth have I buried to fit in? For Mia, it was her writing. For you, it might be a career change, a creative pursuit, or simply the courage to say, this life isn't mine. In the next chapter, we'll explore how the world around you, its expectations and pressures, sets this trap and keeps you stuck. Stay with us, because understanding this is the first step to breaking free. If the emptiness you feel is your soul signaling that you're off track, why is it so hard to break free and live a life that feels like yours? The answer lies in the world around you, the invisible script society hands you from the moment you're born. Carl Jung understood that much of our suffering isn't just personal, it's cultural. We live in a world that glorifies productivity, appearances, and external success while neglecting the soul's deeper needs. This creates a trap that keeps you chasing someone else's definition of a good life, leaving you disconnected from your true purpose. In this chapter, we'll uncover how modern life sets this trap and how you can start to escape it, using Jung's wisdom to reclaim a life that's truly yours. Let's ground this in a story. Meet David, a 23-year-old college graduate who followed the path everyone told him was right. He studied finance because his parents said it was secure, landed a job at a prestigious firm, and posted smiling photos online to prove he was thriving. But inside, David felt like a fraud. His days were a blur of spreadsheets and meetings. Yet he lay awake at night, wondering, is this it? He loved music, had even written songs in high school, but he pushed that passion aside, convinced it wasn't practical. The pressure to succeed, to fit in, to check the boxes, graduate, get a job, climb the ladder, had trapped him in a life that didn't feel like his own. One day, a co-worker's casual comment hit hard. You look like you're just going through the motions. That was David's wake-up call. Carl Jung called this disconnection a sickness of the soul, caused by a culture that prioritizes efficiency over meaning. From childhood, we're taught to follow a script, study hard, choose a safe career, buy a house, post a highlight reel on social media. We're conditioned to measure our worth by external markers, degrees, salaries, likes, while our inner voice, the one whispering our true desires, gets drowned out. Carl Jung saw this as a fatal trap because it pulls you away from your unique purpose. When you live for approval or status, you're not living for yourself. You're performing a role in someone else's story, and the cost is your authenticity. Think about it. How many times have you made a choice to please others? Maybe you picked a major because it was practical, stayed in a job you hated because it paid well, or kept quiet about your dreams to avoid judgment. Society rewards this conformity. It praises you for being productive, agreeable, successful, but it doesn't care if you're happy. Carl Jung warned that this disconnection fuels psychological suffering, the anxiety, burnout, or that vague sense of something's missing isn't random. It's your psyche rebelling against a life that doesn't align with who you are. The trap of modern life is that it keeps you so busy chasing external goals that you forget to ask, what do I really want? David's turning point came when he started questioning the script. He asked himself, whose life am I living? One evening, he picked up his guitar for the first time in years. The music felt like coming home. He began taking small steps, playing at open mic nights, sharing his songs online. The more he honored his passion, the less empty he felt. Carl Jung would say, David was beginning to break free from the cultural trap, reconnecting with his soul's truth. This doesn't mean you have to quit your job or upend your life, but it does mean questioning the script you've been handed. The lesson here is clear. Modern life traps you by valuing what you do over who you are. To stop wasting your life, you need to pause and ask, is this path mine, or was it chosen for me? In the next chapter, we'll dive into the part of you that holds the key to escaping this trap, your shadow. Stay with us, because facing it is where the real transformation begins. You've seen how the emptiness you feel is a call from your soul, and how modern life traps you in a script that's not yours. But what's holding you back from breaking free and living a life that feels authentic? The answer lies in a part of you that you've been taught to hide, your shadow. Carl Jung described the shadow as everything you've pushed down, your fears, désir, anger, or dreams that you've buried because they felt shameful, dangerous, or not good enough. Ignoring your shadow doesn't make it go away. It quietly controls you, keeping you stuck in patterns that waste your life. In this chapter, we'll explore Jung's concept of the shadow, why facing it is the key to stopping that waste, and how embracing it can unlock a life of meaning. Let's bring this to life with a story. Meet Sarah, a 35-year-old mother who always put others first. Growing up, Sarah loved painting, dreaming of becoming an artist, but her family called it a hobby and pushed her toward a real job. Fearing judgment, she buried her passion and became a nurse. a role that earned praise but left her drained. Over time, Sarah felt a growing resentment not toward others, but toward herself. She'd snap at her kids over small things, then feel guilty. She'd scroll through art blogs, envying others' creative lives, but told herself, "It's too late for me." That resentment, that envy, that buried dream, that was her shadow speaking. One day, Sarah signed up for a local art class. Nervous but curious. As she painted, she felt alive for the first time in years. That was the moment she began facing her shadow. Carl Jung taught that the shadow isn't just your flaws or dark impulses. It's all the parts of you that you've rejected to fit in. For Sarah, it was her creativity, her ambition, even her anger at being told who she should be. These weren't bad traits. They were pieces of her authentic self she'd been taught to suppress. When you ignore your shadow, it doesn't disappear. It sabotages you. It shows up as bitterness when you see others living your dreams, as procrastination when you avoid what you love, or as self-doubt that whispers, "You're not enough." And here's the kicker: your shadow shapes how you live. When you suppress your true desires, you settle for a life that's safe but unfulfilling. You waste your potential because you're afraid to face the parts of yourself you've been taught to hide. Think about a time you held back from pursuing something you loved. Maybe you wanted to start a business, but fear of failure stopped you. Maybe you longed to travel, but you stayed put to please your family. Those moments of hesitation, that's your shadow at work, carrying the weight of every should and can't. You've internalized. Carl Jung believed that facing your shadow is the first step toward individuation, the process of becoming your true self. It's not about becoming perfect, it's about becoming whole. And that means embracing the parts of you that feel messy, scary, or unacceptable. So, how do you face your shadow? Start by noticing where you feel stuck or resentful. Is it a job that stifles you? A relationship that dims your light? A dream you've dismissed as unrealistic? Those feelings are clues. For Sarah, her resentment was a sign she'd buried her creative spark. She started small, painting once a week, then sharing her work online. Each step felt like reclaiming a piece of herself. The more she embraced her shadow, her creativity, her ambition, even her anger, the less empty her life felt. Her kids noticed her newfound joy, and her colleagues respected her newfound confidence. Why? Because when you stop hiding your shadow, you stop hiding your power. Here's a practical tip. Write down one thing you've always wanted to do but avoided because it felt wrong or impossible. Maybe it's singing, writing, or speaking up at work. Now, take one tiny step toward it this week. A class, a journal entry, a conversation. Facing your shadow isn't about big leaps. It's about small acts of courage. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to listen to your unconscious, the part of you that holds the map to a meaningful life. Stay with us, because this is where you start turning your pain into purpose. You've uncovered how the emptiness you feel is your soul's call, how modern life traps you in a false script, and how facing your shadow unlocks your true potential. But where do you find the map to a life that's truly yours? Carl Jung believed the answer lies in your unconscious, the vast, hidden part of your psyche that holds your deepest truths, desire, and purpose. Far from being a dark closet of fears and traumas, your unconscious is a wellspring of wisdom, speaking to you through dreams, intuitions, and quiet moments of clarity. Ignoring it keeps you stuck. Listening to it can guide you to stop wasting your life. In this chapter, we'll explore how to tap into your unconscious using Jung's insights and start living with purpose. Let's bring this to life with a story. Meet James, a 42-year-old project manager who felt trapped in a life of routine. His days were filled with meetings, emails, and endless deadlines. But he felt like a robot, not a person. Years ago, James had loved volunteering at a community center, but he gave it up for a serious career to provide for his family. Lately, he felt restless, haunted by a recurring dream of standing at a crossroads, unsure which path to take. Instead of dismissing it, James started journaling about his dreams, a habit he picked up from a book on Jung. One entry revealed a longing to help others again. That sparked a shift. He began volunteering one evening a week. And for the first time in years, he felt alive. That was James listening to his unconscious. Carl Jung taught that the unconscious isn't just a storage bin for repressed memories, it's a living universe within you, filled with symbols, emotions, and insights that point to your true path. When you feel lost or empty, it's often because you're ignoring this inner voice. Your unconscious speaks in subtle ways, a dream that lingers, a good feeling you can't shake, a sudden urge to create or change. But modern life teaches us to dismiss these signals as irrational or impractical. We're told to stick to logic, to stay busy, to ignore the whispers of our soul. Carl Jung warned that this disconnection fuels the sense that you're wasting your life. The unconscious holds the key to your purpose. But you have to learn how to listen. So, how do you tap into your unconscious? It starts with creating space for it to speak. James began by journaling his dreams, noting the images and feelings that stood out. One dream about a crossroads led him to reflect on choices he'd avoided, like returning to community work. You don't need to be a dream expert to start. Simply write down what you remember each morning, even if it's just a fragment. Over time, patterns emerge, revealing what your soul is craving. Another way is through meditation or quiet reflection, spending just 10 minutes a day sitting in silence. Asking, "What do I really want?" can bring surprising clarity. Carl Jung also valued creative outlets like drawing, writing, or music as ways to connect with the unconscious. These aren't distractions, they're doorways to your inner truth. Let's look at another example. Consider Lisa, a 29-year-old accountant who felt stuck in a job that bored her. She loved photography but saw it as a silly hobby. One day, during a mindfulness exercise, she visualized herself taking photos in nature. That image felt so vivid she couldn't ignore it. She started carrying her camera on weekends, capturing moments that brought her joy. Those small acts of listening to her unconscious shifted her perspective. She began exploring part-time photography work, feeling a spark of purpose she hadn't known in years. Carl Jung would say Lisa was aligning with her unconscious, letting it guide her toward a life that felt meaningful. The key lesson here is that your unconscious is your ally, not your enemy. It's not trying to confuse you, it's trying to guide you. When you feel that emptiness, that restless ache, it's your unconscious nudging you to pay attention. Start small. Try journaling, meditating, or picking up a creative hobby you've ignored. Even one small step like James volunteering or Lisa picking up her camera can shift your life's direction. In the next chapter, we'll share 5 practical steps to build a meaningful life. Grounded in Jung's wisdom, stay with us, because this is where you turn your inner whispers into a life that matters. You've uncovered the emptiness signaling your soul's call, the trap of modern life, disconnecting you from your truth. How facing your shadow unlocks your potential, and how listening to your unconscious guides you toward purpose. Now, it's time to put it all together with practical steps to stop wasting your life and build one that feels meaningful. Carl Jung believed that a life of purpose comes from aligning with your true self through individuation, the journey to wholeness. This isn't about grand gestures or instant fixes. It's about small, intentional choices that reconnect you with your soul. In this chapter, we'll share 5 actionable steps, inspired by Jung's wisdom, to help you live a life that's authentically yours. Let's tie this to a story. Meet Emma, a 28-year-old teacher who felt like she was sleepwalking through life. She loved her students, but felt trapped in a repetitive routine, grading papers and following a curriculum that stifled her creativity. She sensed something was missing but didn't know where to start. Then, Emma began applying small changes, guided by Jung's ideas. Over time, she transformed her classroom into a space for creative projects, rediscovered her passion for teaching, and felt alive again. Her students noticed her enthusiasm, and her colleagues respected her innovative approach. Emma's story shows that meaning isn't found in drastic upheavals, but in deliberate steps. Here are the 5 steps she used, and you can too. First, see your pain as a signal, not an enemy. That restlessness, anxiety, or emptiness isn't a flaw. It's your psyche telling you something needs to change. Instead of numbing it with distractions or medication, pause and ask, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Emma realized her boredom was a sign she wasn't using her creative gifts. She started by adding 1 creative lesson to her classes, which sparked her joy. Second, ask, is this life mine? Take a hard look at your routine, job, or relationships. Are they aligned with your values? Or are you following someone else's script? Emma asked this question and saw her teaching style was shaped by external expectations, not her passion. She began tweaking lessons to reflect her love for storytelling, making her work feel more like hers. Third, experiment with a buried passion. Think of something you loved, but set aside, maybe writing, dancing, or volunteering. Take 1 small step to reconnect with it. Emma had always loved theater, but stopped after college. She joined a local drama club, which reignited her spark. Try this. Dedicate 10 minutes this week to a forgotten passion, like sketching or playing music. It's not about mastery, it's about feeling alive. Fourth, let go of what doesn't serve you. Identify 1 habit, commitment, or relationship that drains you, and start setting boundaries. Emma noticed she was overcommitting to school events out of guilt. She began saying no to non-essential tasks, freeing up energy for what mattered. Ask yourself, what can I release to make space for my true self? It could be as simple as cutting back on social media or distancing from a toxic friend. Fifth, connect with your unconscious daily. Your unconscious holds clues to your purpose, but you need to listen. Spend 10 minutes journaling your dreams, meditating, or reflecting on what feels right. Emma started writing down her dreams, noticing themes of creativity and connection. This guided her to bring more art into her teaching. Try this. Set a timer for 10 minutes each morning and write whatever comes to mind. Over time, you'll uncover insights about your true path. These 5 steps: seeing pain as a signal, questioning your life script, reconnecting with passion, letting go of what drains you, and listening to your unconscious, are your blueprint to stop wasting your life. Emma didn't quit her job or move across the world. She made small, courageous choices that aligned her life with her soul. The result: a classroom that felt like home and a life that felt like hers. In the next chapter, we'll wrap up with how to make this purpose unshakable. Even when the world pushes back, stay with us. You're 1 step closer to a life that matters. You've just walked through Carl Jung's profound wisdom, unraveling why you feel like you're wasting your life and how to reclaim it. From recognizing the emptiness as your soul's wake-up call, to breaking free from society's script, facing your shadow, listening to your unconscious, and taking 5 practical steps to live with purpose, you now hold the keys to a life that's truly yours. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That privilege is yours. But it starts with a choice to stop running from your pain and start building a life that lights up your soul. You're not here to just exist. You're here to live. Fully. Authentically. Unapologetically. This is your moment. Every choice you make to honor your true self, whether it's saying no to what drains you, picking up a forgotten passion, or listening to your inner voice, moves you closer to a life that matters. So, let's make it real right now. In the comments below, type, "I choose to live." Let that be your pledge to stop wasting your life and start embracing your purpose. Share this video with someone who needs this spark, because everyone deserves to live a life that's theirs. Don't stop here. Subscribe to Young Psyche Hub and hit the bell to join our journey of self-discovery and transformation. If this video stirred something in you, give it a like. It helps us reach more people ready to awaken. For your next step, dive into our video on how to face your shadow to go deeper into Jung's life-changing ideas, and check out our ebook, Beyond the Shadow, in the pinned comment for tools to keep this journey going. You're not meant to drift through life. You're meant to shine. Now, go out there and start living the life you were born for.